catching Ridgway. Now moving to April 8, 1987. The number of victims has gone up to 46. The police now strongly suspect that Ridgway is the killer. They search his house, his locker at work, and his vehicles. They seize hundreds of items, including ropes, carpet fibers, plastic tarps, samples of paint, and even his financial records. Nothing that they collect is tied to the crime other than the fact that Ridgway was the last person who was seen with 2 of the victims. It didn't seem important at the time, but the police also collected a sample of saliva. By the end of 1990, the Green River Task Force was essentially disbanded. There was still 1 full-time and 1 part-time detective who were working on the case, but other than that, there weren't any more resources being dedicated. By 1991, the task force had spent over $15 million. Now we move to March of 2001. The Washington State Crime Lab starts using a new method of DNA testing. By September, DNA matched at the crime scenes was connected to the DNA in that saliva collected from Gary Ridgway. Now we move to November 16, 2001. Ridgway is arrested for attempting to pick up an undercover officer who was posing as a prostitute. He was released. November 30, 2001. Ridgway is arrested and charged with 4 counts of aggravated murder in the first degree. The DNA evidence links him to 3 of those 4 victims. On March 27, 2003, we see that Ridgway is charged with 3 additional counts of murder. So there are 42 cases that remain uncharged, as there was little or no evidence connecting Ridgway to those crimes. This fact was an important motivator for what happened next. We move to June 13, 2003. The King County prosecutor enters into a plea agreement with Gary Ridgway. The prosecution will not seek the death penalty, but Ridgway will be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and he will not be allowed to appeal his convictions. Ridgway would plead guilty to all the murders he committed. He would be truthful and provide information about all his crimes, including the locations of all undiscovered remains of victims. He would answer any questions during interviews conducted by investigators, and if he was found to be responsible for a crime and failed to be accused, he could be executed. The prosecution did not want to have 42 cases that remained unsolved, even if they had a strong feeling that Ridgway was responsible, right? They wanted a more definitive answer. It was their belief that the families of the victims would like to see Ridgway held accountable for all of the murders he committed, not just a few, where there was sufficient evidence to charge him. Now, this has been a hotly debated decision. It's worth noting that Ridgway had several cases in which he was not a suspect. So the family members of those victims did get some sort of closure, and they